This episode is brought to you by our Patreon supporters. Today's patron of the day is Haley G. Patrons get the show always ad-free and access to the extended episode with bonus content. If you don't want to miss all of that, go to patreon.com/calltheline. That's patreon.com/calltheline.
Yeah, please. We really need the money.
Oh my God.
Also, don't forget to comment. That's who we picked patrons of the day from. So,
leave us a nice comment. Tell us your favorite part of the episode.
We actually read almost, I think I read all of them.
Tell us if you like when both Jimmy and I both have our hair in buns.
We bunned up.
There we go. Hey.
Welcome, everyone, to The Line Has a Podcast. I'm Jimmy Snow.
I'm Alyssa Loop.
That was great.
Arden was texting me and I forgot that we were doing the podcast.
It is Wednesday, May 21st. And look, we are here doing the podcast. It's actually a podcast to make up for a podcast that was recorded, but y'all never knew.
Yeah.
So for all the people celebrating my absence in that episode, which included the two hosts,
no one was celebrating your absence. Although
there
we
were
did
some
say
technical difficulties.
Yeah, which is, again, someone send me money to get a new computer again. We're back there.
Yep.
We're back there.
Well, not again. I think some people will hear that and think again since the beginning of the podcast. She hasn't replaced her computer since the beginning of the podcast yet.
Yeah. I've just basically been dealing with it, and we were having this whole conversation about how a part of my job is brand partnerships, and because of all the tariff stuff, it's been the well has been dry, which sucks because it's a big chunk of my income for the year, and so it's a little bit, the purse strings are tight this year, like it is for everyone else. So yeah.
We just need people to help share the podcast out like crazy.
Share the podcast, join the Patreon, go to my
April
Venmo and send me
money.
$2,000.
That'll work too. Yeah.
Oh my God. I actually even wonder what my Venmo is.
Alyssa needs money. Did I just say April?
You said
the month
April.
Of April. The month of April needs money.
Stop looking at your calendar.
So it's not even April anymore. It's May now. That's just how cracked out my brain is. It's been an exhausting time. Anyway, there was a thing and some technical difficulties and things that happened ended up making it basically impossible to release it. And it was funny because it was just Alyssa and Promise and a prayer. But prayer doesn't work, so it didn't work out, people. This is why you don't rely on prayers as a technical producer.
Right.
We don't do that.
And I've always said that.
That's right. So I'm fixing my white balance here for this thing that most people, I think, listen to, but I don't know. And as you can see, I am joining from, I'm not even on my normal camera, so people can actually see that that's a display. I'm in Antarctica, everybody. Actually, I'm pretty sure that's the Arctic Circle and not Antarctica. This, I think, would be Northern Hemisphere, not Southern, but I could be wrong, just from the looks of it.
It's a very interesting choice of background today.
I am in Texas, where it is very, very hot, and this makes me feel like maybe it's not.
Okay.
I rhymed. I do it all the time. I guess I'm a poet, and I wasn't aware.
Oh my God.
Just ruining people's expectations. Subvert them every fucking time, people.
I love
Don't
it.
do what they're expecting. Anyway, so there was a podcast. It'll never see the light of day because I'm not going to put in the work to correct it.
It's sad because it was a good episode. We had really great conversations and conversations that I feel like we don't normally have time for because normally we really go through all of the news across the board, and Promise and I just went through reproductive health type stuff. So we didn't mean to, but it ended up being a very specific, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, I did like that because there was a part where you were like, wow, and nobody interrupted anybody. And I was like, you're right. Nobody interrupted anybody in this weirdly paced and never on topic podcast. That's true.
Listen. And then there ended up being crazy tech issues.
The audio, I have to send you a sample of the audio glitch. It did this thing where then when it went to treatment, it increased the volume. And so for some reason, a sound that originates on yours when you first joined, which almost sounds like the opening breath of a person, is just repeating do 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 on her track during silences, but it's the breath. So I'm not kidding. It sounds like it sounds a little sexual. It literally sounds like on when she's being silenced, you just hear.
That's
like,
so weird.
I feel like people should pay for what I just did. Like
yeah, I know. Paywall. Oh my God.
People, that should not be free.
Wow. That's crazy.
It is crazy. It's straight up cray.
Could I see, what do you want to talk about today?
Well, did you see, I think we talked about it a little bit, but did you see the developments more on this airplane? Obviously, we got a lot of stuff to talk about today. We're also going to talk about Biden's diagnosis of cancer. We're going to talk about Donald Trump's involvement in these tornadoes that are causing more issues. Like Donald Trump may be why more people died of tornadoes this last week. I don't know if you're familiar with all that, but just to get started, did you see the developments of Donald Trump going over to Qatar? Some people maybe say Qatar, and that they are basically the developments with this plane.
The last thing I heard is that to upgrade the plane to be Air Force One, it would be like $1 billion.
Right. So it would actually cost more than the fact that Boeing right now is already building a new Air Force One. They would have to basically take it down every single part, inspect every single part, make sure that every single part of this is not bugged. Just like we have worked with governments before and had embassies built and other things built, and they've literally been like, we're going to have to go ahead and demolish that embassy that we let them build for us because every 6 inches we check, we find a fucking bug in it.
Right.
Like just to make sure it's not bugged, let alone hey, we can have a little bit of control over. Also, it turns out the jet that they gave away as a gift was after years of trying to sell it, that they were trying to sell it and nobody was buying it. So it's like an unwanted jet that they couldn't get rid of.
Wow.
They were going to give it as a gift. Then there's all this other economic stuff. Like Donald Trump is definitely giving them billions of dollars. But, he likes them because I'm getting this wonderful, they say when somebody gives you a putt, you just take the putt and you move on. That was the stupid metaphor he gave where it's like, this isn't golf, it's fucking
not
idiot.
Fucking golf.
These people are not our friends, right? They are an economic force in the world that will use us to the extent that we are useful and are not good people otherwise. Anyway, fucking this guy sucking up to Mohammed bin Salman and all those fucking just garbage people out over there.
What was he saying in that when he was on the mic? He said something crazy, like he's at the podium. So was he calling him handsome or something over
I think
and over
that was
again?
the president or whatever the head of state is over there, who was like an ex-Al-Qaeda guy.
Yeah, he's awful.
And he's very handsome. I like him because he's so good looking. He's such a good looking guy. He's so much nicer.
Flirting.
So he's almost sweetly flirty to men.
Yeah, he is.
Have you ever noticed that? Specifically to dudes.
He is, but that makes sense. It's very, when you think about these high profile man types, they all are like that because they all, the Andrew Tates of the world are not trying to impress women. They've made that very clear.
Yeah.
They're trying to impress other men.
Yeah.
It's honestly, this group of people who are alpha males are kind of gay.
And so basically it would cost way more than to just have so it's a $400 million gift that would take $1 billion for our security apparatus to strip down and make sure was usable. And at that point, you could just get a brand new, better one from Boeing. So I don't know what his plan is, but then they keep trying to be like, what they're saying, it's a bribe or a gift, but it's not for me. It's for the presidency. It is for America. It's a gift to America. Meanwhile, it turns out that afterwards, his plan wasn't to allow it to continue to be Air Force One and be used by the succeeding president as Air Force One has been, that it would be donated to his library,
I don't know if you hear me, but
which then entitles him to personal use after the fact as well.
You froze. You're back now. That was weird.
Did I freeze or did you freeze?
Just you froze.
Right, but whose internet was the problem?
If I had to guess, probably mine.
Yeah. What's your battery at?
It's at 33.
All right, it's not losing it.
We should be
too
okay
fast,
battery-wise.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, it can be with
don't
how
know.
bad your battery is, the power consumption, if it's like trying to do stuff in the background and it's competing with something that then takes away power from the network card or whatever.
Yeah. Everyone, send me freaking money to get my computer fixed or a new computer. Go on Venmo. It's the same as my Instagram name, and I'll love you forever. And you guys will benefit because I will. Oh my God. Someone that I really like on Instagram just DM'd me to get coffee. That's really nice.
Oh my God.
I love new friends. Anyway.
I also got a work DM, but mine's more like having to solve problems.
No, mine's like, are you in LA? I'd love to get coffee sometime. I love your profile. It's really nice. Anyway.
That's adorable.
DMs like that are really lovely, but they don't help me get a new computer. So help me. Anyway. Let's proceed. We were talking about the jet. We were talking about Air Force One.
We're not getting a $400 million gift, and we're also not getting $1 million for being a fucking Nazi like that Shiloh lady. That thing lives in my mind rent free. I just hate her so much.
Wait, $1 million? Wait, tell me more about this.
So, okay. Did you see? We're wrapping up. The jet thing's dumb. It's also impractical.
Yes.
Probably never going to happen. I don't know what he's going to get out of it, but basically he pretty much can't have it unless they are just like, no, we're okay with the possibility of a bugged or worse jet. Like at some point there could be the threat of they can remotely detonate this if you don't do what we want you to do. Anyway, that's the thing there. So let me see what that ever ended up at. But there's this, you heard of GiveSendGo, I assume? Maybe it's like GoFundMe, but for Nazis.
No.
So it's basically GoFundMe that will take anybody's money and send it anywhere. At least that's what we have found out.
Great.
And there was this woman called Shiloh Hitler, I think is her last name.
Like actually?
No. But
okay. Her profile, though.
You've probably seen the video of her on the internet calling like a 5-year-old or like a young child the N-word.
Yes, that lady.
And so then she goes and she's like, we need to help me relocate my family. And originally is only asking for like a few tens of thousands, is now up to a GiveSendGo of, let's see, once her goal is $1 million, is up to $784,000 collected. And if you look, at the donations, did they completely get rid of the donations? No, they're still there. If you look at the donations and you go to top donations, there was at least one person who gave 10,000, 5,000, 2025, 2006, 2005, 2004, and you just go down a little bit, you'll see the 1776, and then you get the 1488s. And there's lots of donations actually that have 88 in them in general.
Shit.
Do you know what 1488 represents?
Isn't it like a Nazi number?
So 14 represents the 14 words, which is like the white supremacist creed. And 88, 8 is H, and 8 is the 8th letter of the alphabet. So 88HH, Heil,
Right. That just
Hector
gave me
Salamanca.
full body chills because I hate it so much.
They literally had to make all the givers at first. So first they had to disable comments because so many people were just being overtly racist. They're like, okay, we'll just disable comments. We won't delete the campaign. We won't stop the campaign at all. But we'll turn off comments. Then they had to turn off names and make them anonymous because everybody was saying that their names was like famous Nazi names. And now it's there where the only way they can still do it is try to use like Nazi numbers in their donations.
Wow.
Yeah.
That literally, like, as you were saying that, for a moment I zoned out and I was like, I'm starting to feel like I can't keep doing the job that I'm doing because I feel like it's really hard to have things like this happen and be like, I want to teach people how to come better. Like it's hard to do jobs that don't feel like they're fixing that or contributing to that. And like, it's just so, it makes me want to like go.
When you say come better, do you mean it the way I took it?
I mean it like CUM.
Okay, that's what I thought. At first, I thought it was a joke, or at first, I thought I was being dirty-minded, and you were saying like,
no, I was
show
being
up
dirty-minded.
better, be present better.
I mean, that too. But like,
We're
what I
working
meant
on
was
that.
cum. It's just it's a hard thing. It's a hard thing to like hear everything that's happening. It is a hard. Well, we would hope it's a hard thing. Sometimes
That's
it's not.
goal.
And then you called me.
That's true.
And
then I call you. Wait, what is that?
Professionally.
Oh, I thought you were reporting to the audience that when Jimmy can't get it up, he calls me. I'm like, bro, what do I do? I can't get there. What do I do? What do I do?
No. I mean, I would like professionally have that conversation with you, but
yeah.
But anyways, yeah, it's just hard. It's challenging.
We tried everything. She spit on my nipples and called me an ugly boy. That usually does it.
Oh my God. Your girlfriend is a warrior.
Making it up. I'm making up stuff. I'm not going to tell people what I'm really into.
I know. You shouldn't.
No.
Anyway.
I like to squeeze bananas with my toes. Yeah, it's... So they're out there defending that, well, GiveSendGo's like, we defend free speech, blah. Meanwhile, in the video, but also says like they are committed to, what was the phrase? Principled giving. Principled giving. And by the way, like, one of the things that was surprising to me is that the co-founder supporting this, I know like I shouldn't be sexist in this way, but bro, it's a woman out here defending it. The co-founder, Heather Wilson, is out, and I'm like, usually they're the ones who are like, yeah, there's money and there's being a good person, and we'll pick being a good person.
Yeah.
And fucking Christ.
Yeah, I mean...
We're not going to bow to cancel culture. She called a 5-year-old the N-word over and over again. Maybe you should bow every now and then.
I just think like, what is the bottom? Like, what is rock bottom for these people? What is one thing that they will not defend?
Not allowing you to get $1 million of Nazi money would be canceling, though. That's cancel culture. You guys want her to not be able to collect her Nazi dollars?
I think it's
cancel
just like
culture.
I fucking hate the phrase cancel culture. Like I hate that entire thing because it has taken the truth of the matter. Sometimes is on the internet. It's rare that you are able to hold someone truly accountable, and that's not normal. Like in the regular world, there are consequences to your actions, and some people have to be held accountable for their actions. And on the internet, the way that happens is this cancel culture BS, which I'll be honest, I don't think actually happens 90% of the time. Like we've talked about this before. It's really hard to think of people who have been truly, earnestly canceled, removed from the internet. You cannot see them any longer. Like they will not be accepted back. It's rare that ever happens.
No matter who you are, I don't think that's what a person would say. The biggest problem is that it's ill-defined. There's a thing I would call cancel culture that definitely exists, but it's mostly cyberbullying.
Right.
Culture.
Right.
And that exists
you're still,
for sure.
And it's, at the same time, it's like when people talk about canceling, like if you are receiving consequences for your actions that make sense.
Yeah.
For this lady, it is, though.
No,
like,
but I mean, she's
and it's like
hers would be ridiculous to defend as cancel culture because you're saying, does she get $1 million or not for being a Nazi?
No, right. There should be consequences for her actions that feel proportionate. And instead, she's getting $1 million. I don't understand it.
I'm even okay with
and then to frame that as cancel culture is insane.
I'd be okay with canceling her because she deserves to be canceled. As far as like a cancel culture that's totally ill-productive and shitty on the internet, yes, I'm certain that exists, but it's a matter of like everybody who wants to call it out are usually ginormous hypocrites because it's like nobody cancels more than the fucking Republicans. Republicans are trying to systematically cancel trans people existing right now. Like, you want to talk about cancel culture, Texas is trying to pass laws to force trans people to detransition. Right? You want to talk about, like, cancellation. They're trying to literally remove people who are here supporting the economy without due process. You want to talk about, like, what's more canceling than that? But as far as, like, on the internet where it's like, whenever people say they're like, well, are you just mad about consequences to your actions? And there are people who deserve maximum consequences to their actions, like maybe being a Nazi. But then there are people who are like, hey, let's go do everything to ruin this person's life and ruin their career because so-and-so said.
Right.
that they're bad.
Well, the problem is there's no due process on the internet, obviously.
Exactly.
There's no judge, there's no jury, and it's just it's the court of public opinion. But
and now it's like you don't even get a defense or like as far as that court goes, it's like, yeah, but this person said they're bad.
Yeah.
And I think that clearly exists. It's just that so many people are talking about a different cancel culture. I think it would be, and I've disagreed with Matt over this too. I think it's whack to pretend like, I don't think he says there's no cancel culture, but it's whack to pretend like there isn't an immediate eject from our community culture and no interest. Most of the people on the internet who are participating in these campaigns have no interest in the rehabilitation of a person. So whether they do a minor, like you did a racist microaggression versus you called a 5-year-old the N-word, you will often see the level of consequence and uninterest in of trying to reform that person be pretty similar amongst a lot of them. And so to me, it is that problem of it's just like too many people get their fix about what a good person they are by participating in establishing that somebody else is worse. And that in their mind, like, oh, I've established that you're worse than me. So what's most important there is I'm better than you. And it's gross, but it's also like, what do you expect from people who don't have any other power anywhere else as well? This is the power they do have. So it's one of those things where it's like, it's a negative thing of people being victims first, but then being monsters after. But again, not trying to group Shiloh into this. Shiloh was a fucking Nazi and is now like grifting for it. And now since then, I don't know if you've seen, did you see that couple? Let me see if I can find it. The GiveSendGo couple who's now on basically on the exact same website. I'm trying to see if I can find it quickly because a lot of them go up on the first page. Like right now, the very first one that GiveSendGo says is a trending campaign is a Mike Lindell campaign to help raise money for a Denver, Colorado trial. So the My Pillow guy, he needs your dollars. He needs your dollars right now.
And how much does he have?
Like 150,000 of the 1.5 million he's asking for, about 10%.
What's most shocking to me is Adriana Smith, the woman in Georgia who is being forced to hold a baby, even though she is literally brain dead. Her GoFundMe has $89,000 in it.
Yeah.
It's like
we only got 100,000 for not even. We didn't break 100,000 for our RFR fundraiser, and it was like that's all we're trying to raise. I don't know. I'm in like such a gloomy state of the world in my brain right now that I could cry thinking about this because it just is so unfair that like it's so frustrating to feel like you're constantly on the side of like wanting to defend people having rights and freedom and whatever. And then this one fucker can say the N-word to a child and make $1 million. Yeah. So then did you see that couple who was going around singing the new Heil song from Kanye and they were doing Sig Heils in their car? Little douchey dude in a Kangol hat.
No.
Telling people his heart goes out to them as he's singing, N-word, Heil, that guy. I'm not even kidding. They're now on GiveSendGo because their video went, help Mike and Taylor relocate. And by the way,
fuck them. They're not
even trying to pretend they're not white supremacists. Like Shiloh, she's still in a spot where she'd be like, I lost my cool. I basically had a Kramer moment and I shouldn't have, but now I'm in so much danger and I feel like she could pretend if she wanted to. I doubt she is, but she could pretend she's not a full-on white supremacist. These people have literally made their goal $88,000, right? Again, the HH, and then their URL ends. They pick their URL with NHH, as in the lyrics N-word HH. So, yeah, they're just, this is on GiveSendGo. Now, they've only raised a whopping $6,000 of their $88,000 goal, but it's still, you just look at these two. They were so delighted and smiling. and you put it on the fucking internet, dude. You're like, at this point, I almost wonder if it was the goal. Because I remember when it first was going off, people were like, do you think that they're just doing this to get on GiveSendGo maybe? Is that what's happening? Yeah, basically. And GiveSendGo just sitting there being like, bro, we make 2.7%. So like, yeah, we're going to let them get that $1 million because that's going to get us $27,000. Like, hell yeah. It's insane. The world is dark and full of terrors.
It really is. And it's just like so depressing. And it's depressing to like, again, these people got like, are getting even $6,000. Do you know how much work it would take for me to make $6,000? And they literally were actively racist. Like, it's like, and I'm really in my own mind space with this right now, but I purposely don't charge my coaching clients a lot of money because it is more of a priority to me that people get the services. Like, I undercut the industry so much so that I've had other people who are coaches tell me that it's like kind of not cool that I'm doing that. But I want people to be able to have access to services that they deserve. To have money be thrown at people when they're like actively being hateful is like actually makes me want to punch a hole through a wall.
Yeah. Like after the break, Alyssa changes her name to Kyle. Kyle's punch holes in walls.
Yeah, they do. I'm ready.
That's what it is. Sorry to the Kyle who's listening right now. I didn't invent that joke.
I think I'm too emotional to even pun. Like, I think I would try and it would just be like, you know, when SpongeBob lifts the little, and it was like two stuffed animals. I think that's sort of where I'm at.
What frustrates me is we always see when they hit the wall and the hole goes in, but we don't see the videos of the time they hit the wall right where the 2x4 is, right where the stud is behind it, and the outcome of that. How are Kyles so lucky when they're punching holes in walls? I will find out after the break.
This episode is brought to you by the amazing people on patreon.com/calltheline, where you can get the show ad-free and you get the extended episodes where we do bonus shows, which is most of the time. Head over to patreon.com/calltheline and sign up today.
I don't really have the answer, but of course they have to build holes in walls. They're not getting access to holes in other places, if you know what I'm saying. I'm just kidding. Those are usually those level of toxic men who find the toxic women who love them because their fathers were shitty to them, and then their mothers. The mothers of the sons were pieces of shit to the sons, so the sons grew up to be toxic garbage, and they find the women whose fathers were toxic garbage to them. And they find each other and they make children, and then the cycle continues. And for the record, the father of the mother was also the problem in the case before that. So before you're like, haha, equal, it's like, no, dad and grandpa are the issue, guys. Let's really trace it back. Victims before monsters. They're still responsible. It is crazy though how like now it's so. The more it's funny how when you first started getting into, and I got really interested in college, you start getting into like human psychology and things that people are commonly dealing with in therapy and what they're deconstructing from. And at first you're like, oh my God, it becomes so complex, all these things it could be. And then at some point it narrows back in and you're like, nah, it's basically either a shitty mom or a shitty dad.
Right.
That's pretty much like 90% of it. And then shitty moms usually come from shitty dads. And it's just sad. This is why we like have to talk about, obviously you're talking about the patriarchy a lot, but there's such complexity to what that even means. Because like so much of it is like, I got my values and modeling, patriarchal modeling, far more from my father just performed the patriarchy and I was meant to watch. My mother taught it. You know what I mean? And it's like, so it's kind of like men model, fathers modeled, mothers raise. And it's fucking like dark as shit because it's like, and the patriarchy is being perpetuated by fathers and by mothers.
And by mothers.
And the patriarchy is harming women and men. And we're just not having all those combos.
I heard, I like fully interrupted you, which is so funny because we talked about interrupting earlier.
Oh my God, there's so many interruptions when Jimmy's here. You have to, I'll just go on and on.
I saw like when I watched like The Line in my free time all the time, and there was a video that came up that was like It was me and Promise talking to this woman named May. And I remembered that conversation a little bit. And I was like, I don't remember what that was about. So I was watching it. And there's a woman who called in to say that the patriarchy benefits women and children. It benefits everyone, but specifically women and children. She had like she was like clearly reading a script type of thing. And I had one of my
husband's like holding a gun to her head for probably. Like,
that's what we were like towards the end of the call. Promise was like, if you need help, like you let us know. But
Matt I remember a call where Matt got a call from a woman and then he realized there was a man telling her what to say.
I wonder if it was also May. I don't know. Because it apparently, I don't know. For some reason, I remember that being sort of like, maybe
in this case, the man was heard and they were like, put him on. And he still wasn't like, probably was a person who'd called in before and been banned.
That was also, I think, a hypothesis we had with this lady. And she like was going back and forth, wasn't really saying much. But then she was like, okay, I'm just going to leave you with this one last thing, which is my faith. Because of my faith, my husband told me when we were getting engaged and married, you are my bride and I would kill for you. And then Promise was like, or I would die for you is what he said. And Promise was like, my husband has had that same conversation with me. Like, I know that he would take a bullet for me if he had to, like, so I don't know what you're talking about. And then she was like, well, your marriage is a lie. And then I was like, May, I have a question. How is it possible that you think that your husband is more noble for risking his life for you when, based on your religion, he will then live on in eternal life and a life that is better than his earthly one, but Promise's husband, who's saying that he would also die for her, has no expectation for what's going to happen after he dies. And when he dies, he would be doing it under the assumption that there would be nothing. But your husband is doing it under the assumption that he will have a better eternal life after. So why is yours more noble? And that was like one of my favorite dunks. I forgot about that.
I like that dunk. I really do. You should find it. You should clip it. You should post it. I will say it's a better dunk than my dunk, but I'm more attached to what my dunk would have been. Tell me. Will you go ahead and set up? You be May, and all you're just saying is like, my husband said he would die for me.
Okay. I know that my faith is worth it and better than everyone else's because my husband said that he would die for me.
Ask him to prove it.
Right.
It's pretty good. 4 words. I don't know. Ask him to prove it.
Your husband won't even sweep the floor. Your husband won't unload the dishwasher. I don't believe that he's going to die for you. Be so fucking for real.
Sometimes I'm talking to my partner and I'll be like, I just need you to know I love you so much. I would die for you and I'd kill for you. And she'd be like, oh, that's so sweet. And I'm like, no, I'm asking you to ask me to kill for you. Tell me.
You're like, I have a short list and if you could just...
ask me to prove it. Let me kill for you. I'm dying to kill for you.
Oh my
God. It's a joke, people.
It's a joke. Well,
I'm too famous to get away with it now. People be like, it's that guy from YouTube everyone knows. And then Mr. Beast goes to prison.
And then Mr. Beast goes to prison.
It's that Jimmy guy from YouTube and then he gets arrested. Fuck yeah.
Oh my God, that's really funny.
Jimmy from YouTube would fully go to Mr. Beast and not Jimmy Snow. Did you know that was his name? I found that out within the last couple of months. That's how little Mr. Beast apparently his name is Jimmy and that's what everybody calls him, like around him and stuff and on the shows. Yeah, I have not consumed Mr. Beast.
I've never watched a Mr. Beast video. I don't think they're for us.
I think that I don't need to watch rehashings of the Stanford prison experiment like that. I don't think I need to keep seeing like people low-key. Pretty much like a lot of versions of that low-key, like who can withstand this thing that without the monetary incentive would be against the Geneva Convention for the longest.
Really?
Shit like that.
I thought he was like testing slime or something. Like I thought it was like kids content.
No, it is, but it's all challenges of like, I'm going to give this guy $10,000 for every day he can live in a grocery store by himself.
What?
And then they're like doing crazy things like turning off the power on some days and like he has to be isolated from his family and it's just like literally living. Or they did one where it was literally like how long a person could live in a room with the light on. Like a white, bright room and the lights aren't allowed to be turned off for how long.
Okay. That's torture. That's also like how they filmed Big Brother, by the way.
Yeah. What, the lights on all the time?
There are no windows in the house, and the producers control the lights. So they like, and you're not allowed to have writing utensils, so you have no idea what day it is.
Oh, that's fucking wild.
Yeah, and they just fuck with the lights whenever they want.
I remember there were things too where it was like the bathrooms have cameras, but they're not turned on unless a second person enters the bathroom. And I'm like, bro, that is not enough. Like, girlfriends be peeing together all the fucking time, you weirdos.
Yeah.
You know, and I like to see, like, if I really have to pee, I'll see if my bro will let me just go between his legs while he's having a seat. Like, everyone does that. That's what everybody does. Everybody, they're sitting, legs open, you're peeing through that hole. Like, that's what every guy does. They get together, they do that, and then they go in their room and they practice kissing. Together, all the boys just kissing.
I love it.
Anyway, did you see? This is like the biggest news in the world right now, and I'm going to be honest. I put this toward the end because I almost think people are going to not be super stoked with my response to it. I don't know. I don't really care that Joe Biden's dying.
You froze and you came back, and what it came back?
Your picture's mine.
Yeah. My picture's what?
Your picture was frozen while you were talking just now.
Oh, okay, but it's back?
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I don't really care that Joe Biden's got... look...
Okay, I'm glad you feel that way because I was like, am I an asshole? I kind of am like, I mean, he's old.
I'm not saying I want old people to have cancer.
Of course not. But like...
1 in 3 men get prostate cancer. You have access to the best medical care in the world.
Yeah,
you will be more comfortable than anybody.
Right, exactly. That's what I was thinking. I was like, oh no, a person who has access to literally all of the resources that a person in this country could possibly have access to has an illness in his 80s. Oh, no.
I'm also going to start with like, okay, here's the baseline that it begins at. I hear somebody has cancer. Oh, that fucking sucks.
So upsetting.
Thousands of people today will die of cancer. And this guy also made my life actively worse.
Right.
So I don't know like what to tell you. Like I'm sitting here going like, bro, that blows. I hope that you stop having cancer and you stop influencing politics at all. And I'm pretty mad about all the children that you kind of killed. I'm pretty mad at like how complicit in a fucking genocide you were. Actually, multiple through the years. Honestly, like, bro, I understood we had to vote for you in 2020, but I haven't really let go the crime bill of the 90s against you either. Like, you're not really that tight of a bro. Right. And most of my feelings about you are negative. And then while the rest of the world sat and was like, we can see you should not be like, you've passed Walmart greeter level of health. And you sat there and went, but I'm going to run again. I'm serious. I know. I told the American people that I was going to do 1 term and I'd be a bridge to the younger generation. And I'm taking backsies. And then you got forced out essentially, but it was too late to actually have a good primary and put up a good candidate. So you're like, I'm going Harris because she'll be Biden 2.0. She's afraid to criticize me. I'm serious. Not a joke. Like, bro, you're kind of why Trump is president again. So fuck you. I guess like, I guess it's I'm like,
to me, I don't even care that much about like the politics of it all. It's just like, I'm kind of like, I'm over the parasocial behavior. Like, I think it's weird that people cried when the Pope died. I think it's weird that people are freaking out that Biden has cancer. You don't know this man. You don't know these people. You should be as sad as if you heard a random stranger has gotten cancer or died. Like, it's sad because you are a human being showing empathy for a human being. You don't know that guy, and he has no impact on your life anymore. It's like, even when he did have the potential to have an impact on your life, it had nothing to do with his personal, like, I mean, it did because it affects his decision making, but his personal wellness, like, has nothing to do with it. So, like, I just don't really, it's like, I don't even, when I heard that, I spent 20 seconds thinking about it. And I was like, oh my God, that's so sad. Well, good thing he has literally all of the resources in the world. And then I moved on with my day.
Right, bro, all I have for him are thoughts and prayers.
Literally. And it's not because I don't care about him as a human being. It's like, I just don't know him. Also, his wife is a medical doctor.
No, she's not.
Is she not? Oh, I thought she was.
Doctor in education. No.
Oh,
Dr.
I
Joe
thought she was
Biden.
a medical doctor, but not like obviously like
No,
cancer related or whatever.
that's why Republicans are like trying to just shit on her for having a doctorate but not being a medical doctor because she still goes by Dr. Joe Biden. So that's what they're like. How did she miss it?
She got a doctorate. She's still a doctor, but like, okay, I thought she was like
thing they do that they don't do to other people who aren't medical doctors.
Right.
Like literally, Dr. Phil is one of their people. He's not a medical doctor.
Right.
Dr. Cosby for years and years and years, and now I understand he's on their side. What would his willingness to rape women and their willingness to force you to take his baby to term?
Let me show you my surprised face.
I mostly made all of that up, but it would add up that they would that would be who they're down with. Anyway, it's fucking like, look, man, I had the day before he had cancer, I had a ton of contempt for him. Mm-hmm. The day he had cancer and now the day after we found out he has cancer, or the weekend after, days, whatever. I go, sorry, but I still have a lot of contempt for you.
Sorry.
The meme of the like, have you ever seen that one? Is like,
sick, but
have you ever seen the lawyer guy who's like if you or somebody you know has mesothelioma and are experiencing symptoms of cough, lung disease, sorry.
No, but I wanted that's really funny.
I hope you get better.
That's so fucking funny. Like, yeah, that's kind of like, I mean, I have more empathy than that because like cancer is awful. I've had family members have cancer and die really young and half Biden's age. And
now let me ask you, how big were the genocides they participated in?
Right.
So look, Biden, thanks for making sure we didn't get Bernie. Oh, wait, I don't like that. Thanks for Build Back Better. That was kind of good. That was all right. The infrastructure bill, that was all right. Thanks for the memories, even though they weren't so great. I don't think you can remember them.
No, certainly not. And hi, Bonnie. I hope he's well. Like, I hope he's well and like he'll be fine. I mean, he's not going to be fine. This is going to be what takes him out. He's 80 something years old. Yeah. I hope that that he lives the rest of his days comfortably, truly like that.
This
and
man
I hope
has
that for
seen
him.
the world.
But he
has vacationed in the most luxurious ways of anybody ever gets to. Despite having a lifetime as a politician, his personal life resembles the life of a celebrity, right? Like, he's 82 years old. I'm ready to let him go. I'm like, I'm good, guys. We're good.
I just don't know him. I just don't know him. And it's like, this is the same, the way that I treat this situation also really feels like it's, and the way that we are treating this situation and the way that like, I haven't seen like, weird like mass cards for Joe Biden. It's like the difference between the way that this is being treated versus when Trump had like a scrape on his ear that miraculously healed in a couple of days.
Tore through my ear.
Yeah, and then there were like t-shirts sold on boardwalks that were like warrior. And I'm like, what the fuck are we talking?
I mean, now listen, I don't care. Democrats are being kind of silly about it.
Are they?
Republicans are being fucking unhinged about it. Like that shit. One of my favorite ones was like a guy going, is like, the difference between us and Democrats is if this had happened with Trump, everybody would be saying how much they hope it kills him. But we're here saying we hope Biden recovers. That's a difference. We're better than the Democrats. But then I literally went to Truth Social and just the first post there that was from somebody Republican was Donald Trump Jr. announcing it, saying, despite our differences, I wish them very, very well, blah, 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 blah. And then literally everything underneath was people being like, fuck that. I don't wish him well. I hope he dies.
Yeah.
So it's like, there's
going to be shitty conversations and also nice conversations on both sides. And it's like, I don't really have an interest in counting who's has more of a shitty response on either end. It's like, at the end of the day, only one party stormed the Capitol and created an insurrection. And like, that based on that alone, I'm feeling only one party is the party that the KKK also votes for. So I don't know. I sort of feel like when we're talking about like who's having rational reactions to things and like whose humanity is still in check, it feels very clear to me, even beyond the tweets and the Truth Social posts and whatever. It's like I don't have an interest in going back and forth and tallying because I think that actually it's not worth our time because I'm busy.
Also, like, I'm just
fucking
like,
hell.
Bro, I am telling you now, I don't care because when the day comes that the KFC catches up to him, I'm having a party. Like, whatever expectation, I am so not the, whatever it was of years ago of like, when John McCain died, I was like, guys, don't celebrate his death. That's low key gross. And I still kind of feel that way, but I'm like, but there is a tier. There is a tier where it's like John McCain looked like he was starting to have regrets about choices he made earlier on in life. And yes, he was a war hawk, all these things. But I do like to give people the grace of like the ability to reform, to change, to rehabilitate and all that stuff. And just to see him stand up to his own party and embrace being hated by people when it was so obvious how bad Trump was and everybody else was like, well, I got to save me. And he was like, fuck that noise. Like, I at least respect himself about that. And so then when he died, having done the right thing, I don't know. There's just something about that versus like, I mean, don't get me wrong. When Dick Cheney dies, sure, he did the right thing too during the last election. And yeah, when Dick Cheney dies, it won't be the vibe of the party won't be as significant, but bro, also going to party. But I'm not going to like rub it in Liz's face. Like, Liz, are you coming to the party? Like, of course, she's going to lose a father and that hurts to be anybody. And, sad for that, whatever. But the funny thing is this isn't even the worst cancer that's happened to the Bidens. Like, I can have way more sympathy and like feel sadder about what happened to Beau years ago but then Joe, I think, would even agree with that. Like, I'm fucking old, bro.
Right.
I wasn't planning to be alive this long. The fuck?
Right. 82. I mean, you
can see my bones through my skin.
Getting to 82 and it going through the stressful jobs that he's had in his lifetime. I mean, it's a pretty good life. I think I can, like I said, I can have empathy as a human being because he's a human being and cancer is rough.
Sad.
It's sad and it's sad for his family and it's, and his direct community. But like beyond that, I don't know anything else.
I don't know you.
I literally don't know you.
You're not my dad.
Not my dad.
When we come back, we'll talk about the Doge cuts and Donald Trump's policies that may have contributed to deaths by tornadoes, and then we're going to call it a day here. Unless, if I see something else exciting, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about the boat. By the way, I'm sure we'll talk about it more later as they develop, but the conspiracy theories about them hiding this cancer, also crazy coming from the right, but we'll let all of that sort of formulate, and we'll talk more about that. We'll be right back.
Would you like to be one of the cool people who can prove they were supporting this podcast right from the beginning? Well, you can. Head over to linemerch.com. That's linemerch.com and pick up some Founders merch for The Line as a podcast that will only be available for a short time and features the rough draft drawn logo that soon will be updated to look less like it was drawn by a 3-year-old. That's linemerch.com.
I should make a TikTok.
What did I cut you off? What were you going to say?
I think I'm going to make a TikTok and just be like, about the Biden cancer situation. Is that going to make me look really crass and terrible?
Probably. Especially if you don't TikTok that much. If you're like, I only made this.
I do.
I just want to, okay, then you're probably.
I do. And I feel like if I approach it from the right.
Yeah.
Like, I can't
I'm
just
not offended by anybody else who's close to him being sad, but there are people that I want to shake and be like, he doesn't know you and he failed you. Bruh, like.
I feel, and we don't need to keep talking about this, but and I feel the same exact way that I did when people were crying about the Pope dying. I don't know that man.
I don't fucking know.
Don't know.
Yeah.
Why are we crying? Whatever. Anyway, what were we going to talk about? Doge?
Cuts to the National Weather Service has caused delayed responses to things like tornado warnings and stuff, which then also caused delays in tornado warnings to go out. And this last week, we had a very active tornado season. tornado a week with a few dozen deaths. And we're now finding out that some of those deaths happened in places that tornadoes warnings went out late.
Yeah. Which I'm wondering if that's part of the reason why Trump hasn't really said, I mean, he doesn't really like give a shit about anyone. So it's also that. But I wonder if that's also part of the reason why he hasn't really said much or if anything at all about the tornadoes, because he would have like reasonably you would have to have some sort of like not call to action, but I guess kind of a call to action. And in this case, how could you do that knowing that a person that you employed to make budget cuts is in part the reason why so many people have died?
27 people in Missouri and Kentucky, and specifically Jackson, Kentucky, they had lost their full-time overnight forecaster because of Doge cuts. And by the way, overnight, nighttime tornadoes are particularly dangerous because so many people sleep through whatever alerts there already are. To not even have the alert system, though, for the people who will wake up, it just increases the number of people who died because the warnings were delayed because they didn't have the people there who can make the call to set off the systems that send the warnings. But here's the thing, people. This was warned. They were warned that this was going to happen earlier in the year when they were making those cuts, when they were making NWS cuts. And it's going to make hurricane season worse. It's going to make the should you retreat or not, because Donald Trump is going to be ultimately afraid of what happened during the Biden thing, where there were hurricanes that everybody freaked out about and they left for, and then the hurricanes ended up not being so bad. And so then you get this level of like, oh, well, because everything that you get weather warning wise is we're telling you this because there's at least a X% chance that this is going to happen, which means there's a chance it's not going to happen. But you taking that fucking thing and being like, well, I love when you see people interviewed who are like, we've stuck through every hurricane before and we never left and nothing ever happened. Therefore, it's actually, my girlfriend has kind of a habit of using that kind of defense on stuff where I always point it out, where she'll be like, well, I've gone to, I'm trying to think of an example she wouldn't think was rude for me to answer. Like, I don't know, we'll just say like, I've walked back from a bar at 1 a.m. and never been harassed by a man, so I don't need to take an Uber, or nothing ever went bad, so I don't need to take an Uber to my car. It wasn't a time she was drinking, it was just that she was kind of far from her car. This is actually, okay, so this is the story that happened. I might have already told you about it, but where I was like, hey, you're like far from where that is, and that's not like a great spot. And it's like, so you need to, when you get out at night, promise me you'll take an Uber and not walk back. And she was like, no, okay, I will, but I don't really need to do it. And then I'm talking to her when she gets out, she decides to call me. And she's like, I can get there like so quick. And like, in the amount of time it takes to even get an Uber, I probably would have just been there. And I can tell that she's already begun walking. And I'm like, okay, first of all, you already promised. Second, she's like, and then literally we hear a man start to yell at her. And she's like, okay, I'm turning around and going back. And I'm like, and next time, will you just keep your promises, please? Would that be okay? Will you just keep the promises, baby? And it's one of those ones where I was like, I'm never going to tell you I told you so, but it's easier not to when you are acknowledged that I was right.
Do you even have to say it, or?
I'm like, well, I didn't say that. I was like, she was like almost bracing for it. I was like, I'm not going to say anything. As long as in the future, you recognize that if I'm like asking you, it's for a good reason. Yeah. Like I'm not just saying, because the nice thing for her in that scenario was it only happened a block away, right? So she was right by the bar and could just turn around as she was getting yelled and harassed at what seemed to be a drunken vagrant. She was able to turn around as one block. But this was like, her car was like 3/4 of a mile away, I think. This place she was going to walk to. And it was through like downtown Salt Lake City, basically. And it's like at midnight or 1 a.m, something fucking crazy like that, where it's like, you don't go through any big cities downtown by yourself as a very attractive woman. Yeah. For people wondering.
Very attractive and also like
so hot.
If you were super hot. And also if you were to like look at her, especially like from a distance, you'd be like, oh, and 85 pounds soaking wet. Like she's like she's like tiny. Like I mean, she looks like she might be tall, but she's like tiny. So like people are gonna see her from a distance and be like, easy.
Yeah, no problem there. And if she doesn't like, even if they're not somebody who's going to physically do anything, no fear of making her feel unsafe because their repercussions will be nothing. So they get to shoot their shot and make their willy hard because of what they shouted after this gorgeous person, this angel. Anyway, it's kind of just like, I don't remember where I was going with it.
Literally, you're like, and it's just, who wouldn't want to attack someone who's just gorgeous and perfect?
If I was a predator, she would be like, fucking like, oh my God. When you go fishing and you're like trying to fish.
Say if I was a predator.
If I was a predator, she would be at the top of my fucking list. She's so hot and wonderful.
And the good news is you didn't have to be a predator. She just likes you.
No, I got her with my personality. So there are some things wrong with her, obviously. But I know, like something's up. But yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I was only halfway through my weight loss at that time too. So she liked me before I looked all like hippie Jesus over here who needs a shower.
Jesus, I love hippie Jesus.
Look at the width of my collar. Are you seeing this? This is a little more collar than
so frail.
Usually I've got a little tighter up here. It's usually like a collar like that.
So
but I'm just like
fish now.
Open it up. Yeah. So anyway, that was a whole debacle. We don't really fight. It was kind of like I was gonna say like I won that fight, but we don't really fight. It's more of like a what did you learn?
Yeah.
Very condescending in that way. That's what I said. And what did you learn?
Yes.
I might have made a joke like that. I was going to say, no, not really, people, but that's not out of the realm of the types of silly way I'll tease a person.
It's all in the spirit of wanting her to be safe, though.
Of course it is. And I was like, I'll pay for the Uber. I like, whatever it takes to get you there safe. I'm like, first she was moving, I was like, she's clearly going to try, whether I tell her, whether I protest or not. I was like, are there at least scooters around? Could you scoot? Could you scoot your way out of this place? But I didn't know until she visited me shortly thereafter that she hadn't really done much on those like electric scooters. And I have one. I love those fucking things. And yeah, I love them. They're great. To the point that I have one myself. What's that?
I don't think I've ever used one.
Come visit. You can come ride mine around the neighborhood.
I want to. Actually.
Yeah.
I was talking to a friend of mine who is in the same state as you, who
that means nothing, just so you know. The Texas is huge. That could mean
I know, but
yeah,
like in the city that's close.
Okay, very good. You can say Austin. I live in Austin, near Austin.
Oh, okay. So I didn't know if that was like I accidentally dox you all the time, so I just am not.
Yeah, I know. You're like you're being extra careful for once. That's nice.
I'm literally like legal first name, legal last name, just like in all our podcasts and whatever. But that was a bug. Kevin is playing a show in October.
Amazing.
And so I'm going to go to Austin for that. So I was like, oh, this is great because I'll get to see all of my Austin people. I think I'm going to make this a way that I'm going to meet like all of my line people because I'm going to go to Nashville first because I'll see Promise and Yuka. And then I'm going to go to Austin and then I'll get to see you and TBD on Girlfriend if she's there. And
you'll probably be staying at her place. Like, realistically, that's probably what we're going to be using her place for is like when our friends come to visit.
Okay. And then also Matt and Arden, obviously. And also my friend, this is a friend who did the circle with me, who's down there.
Okay.
So, I mean, the only thing is they're doing Austin City Limits, which like, I don't want to go to a music festival, but whatever. I'll go.
No, you can actually go around Austin to get to me. Like the nice thing is
beautiful.
There. Yeah. You don't have to go through all that mess. Yeah. Every year, people are like, you go on Austin City Limits? And I'm like, well, boy, sure, I'm going to try. I never try, ever.
The only way I'm going to go is as a 31-year-old woman, the only way I will go to a festival is with some sort of like VIP or artist pass. Not because I'm bougie, because I'm old. I'm old. I'm hot. I'm dehydrated. I'm not. Music festivals give me anxiety. I will not go.
My first like company that I was part co-owner of, we did concert production stuff basically, and promotions. And so the only reason I've been to so many concerts is because I got to do them from backstage, which by the way, sounds like shit.
So bad.
If people are like, oh my God, you got to do the show backstage. That's crazy. You're so close to the action. Like, it sounds like fucking garbage.
Yeah. Do you want to hear only the drums? Because then you should.
Right. Right. Or like maybe you can like line up with the monitor of one of them, like the bassist monitor. Right. So you're just here like boom, 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 boom. But also not that good either because you're around these big sound curtains that are sound isolating. So they're like, it's just not good.
Even side stage, and this is like the most...
That's mostly what I mean by
privileged conversation that we've ever had because we're like, backstage and side stage just not.
I was not making good money, dude. That was the worst. That was the least privileged I've been as an adult. I was like,
this was
starving. I was scraping to get by back then.
Yeah, but like it just like I'm sure people would love to be side stage or backstage for bands and stuff, and like it is a very cool experience, but you don't really get to hear very well.
I feel like I'm the homeless guy saying like I got to pee on the Strokes bus from the outside. I peed on it from the on their tires. And they did beat me up, but I met the Strokes when they came out and beat me up.
I did get to stand side stage to watch Sleeping with Sirens last year, and that was really fucking cool.
That's cool. I've gotten to, you get to go to the meet and greets for free, so I've done a lot of free meet and greets with cool artists and stuff, but then sometimes they expect you at meet and greets with ones you don't want to go to, like when we had a Chippendales act around... at a theater that I'm not even going to say the name of the theater because I feel like people could go back and find my association with be like, oh, this is him.
Don't dox yourself today.
I'm not gonna.
We avoided it between the two of us for an hour, so that's pretty good.
There are people who are kind of fun, like when I got to hang out with Tech Nine and Chris Calico, but then Chris Calico and his people just wanted to go to a strip club afterwards in Wyoming, and so you're like, okay, we'll show you the best Wyoming strip club we have. And it was okay. There, not everybody there. I actually have made some great friends at that strip club. Okay, but it's Wyoming. It's like you go to Vegas and the performances there are like art. They're amazing. Yeah. You go to Wyoming and it's kind of like, but they're allowed to touch you in Wyoming, which is why some people will even come over the border because they want to like get to motorboat strippers.
Okay. I was expecting if it like a strip club in Wyoming, I feel like there'd be one person there, like one dancer.
It was never very busy. I also did like photography work for a Wyoming strip club for their website once, and I accidentally I had this ring for magic tricks that I used to do that had a magnet in it. And so I usually wore it on my right hand, on my ring finger, but working with the camera, the way I was holding the camera was uncomfortable. So I moved it to the left one. And then afterwards, I found out they were like, yo, just so you know, this girl who works here, Taylor, she thinks you're like fucking so hot. And I was like, oh, word? That's cool. And so I like go and I talked to her and she was like, yeah, is that okay though? Because aren't you married? I was like, oh, no, I'm not. Instantly, her interest in me, like you saw.
Wow.
She was into me because she thought I was married.
Wow.
Because you know that you're toxic.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
That's what I have to say about that.
I thought you were going to say something about having a metal or a magnetic ring fucking with the camera, like the filming quality.
No, it wasn't that strong. It was just something that could catch certain gimmicks, essentially. Okay. Yeah. All right, let's end this piece of shit. That's... hey, the Line has a podcast. How do we do? Where's the fucking button? The Line has a podcast is a production of The Line, which is a production of Jimmy Snow, which is a production of his parents who don't deserve to be named. Today's episode was pre-production completed by Jimmy Snow. Editing will be by Jimmy Snow. Oh, and probably some promotional material, some little assistance from a new producer named Luthian. Probably be helping out. Yeah.
I thought you were going to make a joke and say Jimmy Snow.
Yeah, and Jimmy Snow will be Luthian's biatch. Biatch, I should say. I think that's what I'm allowed to say. That was the show, everybody, and I'm sorry.